So, hi guys, welcome to another video by me, Mike at DP Mechanics. And this is it. This should be the final video of my E53 refresh. So, why is this going to be the final video? Let's just adjust that. So, there has been a little bit of movement since last time. So, you know me, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I get a little bit impatient. So, we finished up last week with getting the alternator gasket on and starting to put bits back together. And, you know, we generally got to a position where we put the lower timing case on and bits like that and bolted it all up. And then things got kind of a bit out of hand. So, let's just jump and I'll show you exactly what happened. Forgive me if you hear the noise, but this is where we currently stand now with the engine. So we managed to get both cover gaskets on. Well, both were cam covers. That turned out to be a lot more painful than I actually thought it was going to be. And there is a reason why. Inside here, inside where the spark plugs go in, BMW in their inevitability fitted tubes that go through to stop oil getting to the spark plugs, which is, it all sounds well and good until you realise, and let me just show you if you can see there, here's one of the tubes. It is all well and good until you realise they have to be fitted into the top of the covers before they get bolted down. So I didn't know this little small fact. It's not done in any of the technical information manuals or most of the YouTube videos. And what that causes is insane amount of pressure on these bolts. So when you're trying to bolt all this down, it's lifted in the middle. And it was partially because these ones here are really difficult to get to and really hard to put pressure back down. So they came off 2 or 3 times. I also had one of these bolts shear, which was panic stations. It wasn't over torqued, it wasn't even at 10 Newton meters, it just sheared. Luckily I took this off, drilled it out, managed to put a groove into it enough to unscrew it. Didn't need to re-tap it or re-thread it, anything, and replace one of the bolts. And just use one of the old bolts down here. So all this is good, it's all torqued up to spec. We got the solenoids back on. They're screwed in, bolted down, they've got new seals as well. So all that's bedded in. We also put the thermostat on. Now the old thermostat's perfectly fine. It's, you know, it worked. It was the water pump that had gone. So all this is all back together now. We got the new transfer pipe and we put the old aluminium flow pipe back on. That's all been connected back up back there. We also, if I move this out the way, we also got the power steering pump back on and got it all cleaned, and also put the oil lines in for the oil coolant down here underneath with the alternator bracket, which that actually wasn't too bad going back on. We popped the diff back in as well, the front differential, and also one of the things that we're going to do today is reconnecting the rear drive shaft, so front drive shaft, sorry, back into the diff. All of the AC compressors now bolted down with the correct pins in, so we're almost there. Also put the, I think this is an oil pump, I think secondary oil pump, I think. But that's on and bolted in. That was fun getting in. And obviously all the front solenoids are in. So where do we stand now? So the job today, we're going to get the intake planning on. We are also going to double check and tighten down all the spark plugs. We're going to put the alternator in. We're going to tighten up the bolt behind the AC compressor and get all that done, put the power steering line back in. Then we're going to put the fuel rail back on, reconnect the fuel line, reconnect all the electrics, put the belts on and all the pulleys, because all these are brand new as well to go on. Underneath as well, we've got to do the lower oil pan gasket. That's a common failure point. We'll do a little video on that. Reconnect up the front drive shaft to the diff and put all the electrics back in, fill it with oil, change the oil filter. Well, change the oil filter, fill it with oil, do it in the right order. top up the power steering pump, reconnect the front wheel, and then reconnect the cooling system, of course. Obviously put the wheel on the new water pump, which the new water pump's awesome. Everything's been torqued down. I've already done a turn of the engine, it's all nice and smooth. And then we should be able to, well, we're probably going to have to jump it because I've got no doubt at all the battery's completely dead. And then we should be in a position that we pull the trigger. So, as ever, I'm wearing my Gas Monkey shirt, which is absolutely filthy and stinks, and I can't wait to get this to get washed. We're also wearing our obligatory shorts, but we are going to be changing into a set of overalls because, as you don't know if you can see by the day, it's not the hottest. So we're going to be putting overalls on, we're going to get some gloves on, and then we're going to get the tools, and we're going to film under there and show you where the ASE third nut is that caused me so much pain. And then I'll do a quick video of me I'll try and do a video of me taking the oil sump off. If that doesn't work, then I'll do a before what I've got to do, and then an after me putting it all back together. And we're done underneath, really, for now. Then we can get on top, get the camera set up, get a time lapse on, get all the intake planning put on, then start dropping the injectors on, and start slowly putting this engine back together. And hopefully by the end of today we pull the trigger and it fires. So let's crack on. Right, so we're all changed overalls because this bit I don't like. So let's get to show you what we're going to do, which is putting the third bolt on the AC compressor. And what a pain it is, by our favourite German engineer at BMW. So what we need is a 13mm aviation spanner. This is a long one. This is about 16 inches long. Oh, yeah, it's about that, I think. You know, size and all that. So here's the end in question that we need. Let's see if it focuses. Well, that's the end that we need. So I've got the light on. Yes, I've got the light on. So let's get down on my fully cost-effective creeper and show you where we need to be. So if I shine this up here and focus back, that is the nut in question, which is an absolute pain to get to. So to show you how much free play you've got, you have to we have to, number one, under these lines here, which are the trans coolant lines. So we basically pop this off, and there's another bolt up here that we pop off. That gives us the capability then to move these lines around. And what you essentially have to do is create that gap, and that allows you to get the spanner in. Create that gap, which allows you to get the spanner in to tighten the nut. Now this is going to take two hands, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video and show you. Oh, and the other drive shaft's popped out as well. It's a good job I saw that. Good. Well, it just means that we have to just take the other wheel off, which is fine. So let's get on and get that tightened up. So ladies and peeps of the internet, after what felt like an absolute eternity, which as you can see by my hands shaking, that was intense. I mean, and you probably find them quite loud at the minute. That has to be the worst bolt on this car. It's not been thought through. It's been an afterthought about replacing it. It's an engine out job. I probably feel if you're replacing the pump, then you know this is possibly the worst bit of the entire job, to be quite frank. I would categorically say that. I mean, we've got a few leaks I mean, most of this is fine. I mean, it's not from the block, in all honesty. That is what can only be called as monstrous. It took 3 spanners and a socket just to try and get it, and you can't get it. It's to torque. It's only a torque of 10 Newton meters, so it's absolutely fine to do. But doing it requires you undoing these gearbox coolant lines and coming in at all angles on it. It is a pig. It is an absolute pig of a job. But it's done, which means we can concentrate on getting the drive shaft in. Yep, concentrate on getting the drive shaft in, getting the power steering line reconnected, which has been disconnected, getting the other drive shaft in, giving underneath here a wipe to make sure it's done, and then we're going to concentrate on getting this off and getting it sorted. But I'm sorry I couldn't film it. It is absolutely horrendous, but just to show you how much of a pain it is, even with one of these. Here's the long spanner, and this, I mean this is the amount of room you have to work with, and there is nowhere else that you can get a catch point on that fitting. So I've tried coming at it from all angles. It is tight, it is the relevant torque it needs to be, but that's a pig. But it's done. So on to the next job. Right everyone, here we are. So what we're going to do today is reconnect the prop shaft to here, which is the front differential. Right, just gotta try and find the right way of showing you this. There's one half here and one half there. And what we're going to do is there's a rubber guibo, as it's called by BMW, that goes in between with a catch plate that goes all the way through, and then we're going to bolt that together, and then that will be the front prop shaft reconnected to the diff, which will then drive the front wheels. Once we have this done, then we can, as you can see up there, we've got the alternator bracket on successfully, and that's all bolted and torqued. So then once we have these connected, we can then look at getting the oil lines put in. We'll get the oil lines put back in there, and then we will put the alternator back on and pin that up. It was actually a really good idea. Just make sure I'm not covering the microphone up. Knowing my luck, I probably have. It was actually a really good idea popping the diff. It's not that hard, and tightening it and torquing it back in has not been that difficult either. Pop them in. We can then look at popping the alternator on and the power steering pump on this side, pop the drive shaft back in, put the suspension back together, put the wheel back on, and then this side is ready to drop. We are going to be doing as well is changing the lower oil pan gasket, because I think that's leaking as well. I think the upper one is, but there's nothing we can really do about that now. You can see there's some oil that's been dripping off, but that may have come also from the head gaskets. So plan of attack for tonight is get that on. If I can get the guibo on, we're moving along at pace, and that's all that really matters. Then I think after we've done the guibo and got this set up, we've got to, on the other side round there, and I'll show you a video of that as we get round to it, we've got to reconnect the third bolt on the AC compressor, put on a power steering line, and pretty much that side is done. This side will be done underneath. We can then, once we've changed this bottom plate, ultimately then we could probably put on this splash guard underneath, get all that put back on, and under the car should hopefully be done then. Nothing much more than just a bit of cleaning with a brush and making it look pretty, and degreasing a few areas as we go along, and that should be it. So we just need to be cracking on and get it done. So let's get on with the guibo. So a little update on where we are. If you look in there, you will see the guibo is all connected, all torqued up, and looking good. Now I say it's actually a lot easier than it was when it was coming out, so very happy about that. You'll also see that we've applied some cleaning fluid to try and get some of this. So if you look around here, the light out of the way, probably help. The drive shaft's still not in, but we have got some progress though. But if you look just back there, you will see that the oil line, yeah, just there, the oil line is, let's click on there, the oil line is back into the alternator bracket, and it's had a clean best we can with what we've got. We'll give it some engine degreaser as well, just to get the last bits of shit off. But that's all been reconnected and torqued up, so happy days, which has then resulted in, well, we've gone underneath here as well, and we've hit it with a bit of degreaser too. So yep, it's getting ready for that bottom pan to come off so we can do a bit of an inspection, see how bad it is down there. There's much more cleaning to be done around that side. And then probably the next biggest update to this is going to be, we have got the power steering pump on and cleaned. So we're almost finished with some of the nastiest jobs in the engine. When all this is done, it's all up and running. Oh, we've also rebolted in the front bolts on the AC compressor, and as you see, we'll put the oil pump on, and the secondary oil pump up there. All the solenoids are in as well. The water pump's bolted down and torqued. Everything's in and torqued to spec. So really, now what it's all about is going to be gasket covers. Once we've got the gasket covers on, we can wire everything up and away we go. And I might just drop the alternator in tonight, but past that, we're good to go.
So I know what you guys are thinking. You're watching this video and you're a bit confused as to why at one point we're working on an engine with no covers on, and then we're working with an engine with covers on, and then we're putting the AC compressor back, and then they're talking about the alternator being fitted, and now we're fitting the intake plane in. It's basically because the videos were filmed over a few days and I've had to try and piece them together into some logical sense. So sit back, relax, don't worry about it, you're not going to miss anything, and I'll let you carry on watching the video.
Right, that is being a proper pain in the bum. So, why is nothing ever designed the way it should be? I understand it's got to be a tight seal, but there's tight seals, and then it won't ever go in. So, it's just started raining, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is walk away and have a cup of tea for a bit and come back to it. See you soon. So on the time lapse, you saw me having a little bit of trouble with the injectors going back in. Yeah, that was a proper pain in the bum, and it took some very, very, shall we say, delicate engineering. But all the injectors are back in, they're seated properly. We've just started putting some of the wiring in at the back to make sure that we don't get caught out on that. We're just now going to drop the alternator in. So what I'm going to do is put it on a time lapse so that you can watch the alternator go in. We'll do the tensioner pulleys, and then we'll actually change the pulleys themselves. Yeah, because the top and bottom, we've got to feed a wire in for this around the back, but that's fine. I mean, if you look at this, I mean, it looks like a lot of wires, but it actually makes complete sense once you kind of get going. These two are for the solenoids. This one, I have no idea. It could be for that. You've got stuff like this, which will probably be for that, for the thermostat. So there's loads of stuff to figure out right now. It's not all easy, so we can but crack on, they say the words. I mean, there's stuff like got electrical connectors here. Your mass airflow sensor, that's probably that one, and something else which is probably down there, which we'll have to kind of have a look and dig out. But apart from that, everything is moving along. This is for the alternator, as is this. So let's get the alternator done first, and it gets rid of some more wires, and we can then start concentrating on this half. So, you know, I'm pretty confident that we can kind of start plugging in like the knock sensors and all the other bits, like that, and that'll go in there. Then we can start looking at putting the major bits of plastic back, which that's the bit I'm looking forward to, in all honesty, because that says to me the engine's starting to go back together. We've just got a little pipe to fit under there, which is going to be keen. It's going to be interesting to do, but you know, we'll get it done and we'll feed these in. So let's crack on.
So guys, we're going to leave it for there right now. The video is getting too long, so what I'm going to do is we're going to post a second part to this video on Sunday, which will be the finale, and I'm sure you're really going to enjoy what happens. There's a little bit more adventure along the way. It's not quite done, so you know, just come back, see part 5, the big finale, and then we'll see what happens. All right, guys, we'll speak to you on Sunday.